Episode number 40 of Ralph's Stuff. We have a visit to Caesar's Head, which is a mountain in South Carolina. Has a large cliff that looks like Caesar's Head. And you'll get to see us up there in the clouds. Testing my new car camera mount. Also Wildcat Falls in South Carolina as well, on Highway 11. And we visit Josie the Video Dog in slow motion. On Sunday, August the 12th, 2007, we visited Caesar's Head, which is a mountain and a state park in upper South Carolina. The mountain's almost 3,300 feet high. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but the cloud level is lower than 3,200 feet, obviously, because we're up in the clouds. And it's beautiful up here. Hello. We're here at Caesar's Head in South Carolina. Caesar's Head is both a mountain and a South Carolina state park. That's part of Caesar's Head down through there. I think maybe that's his nose. As you can see, it's very foggy here and very hard to tell exactly what's out there, but we know there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a tremendous view up here from the atop Caesar's Head. There's very nice facilities at the state park. It's really easy to get here from Asheville. The best way is to go to Brevard and then take Highway 276. 276 goes right up over Caesar's Head and right by the Visitor Center. It's maybe 150, 200 feet walk to this platform we're on now. It's very easy. And starting to rain, so that's the end of this one. And there's the sign showing elevation 3,266 feet. Obviously the rainstorm didn't really materialize, which is good because I was concerned about getting my camera wet. And we're looking down over the cliff. This is over Caesar's brow, the Caesar's Head brow, and his forehead. And you can see way down in the valley there the tops of the trees. It's several hundred feet down. As you can see, there are other people up here enjoying the view and the cool of being inside the clouds, looking down out over the mountain valley. A lot of trees down there, and we're quite a bit above them. But it's beautiful and peaceful. Hi, this is Ralph Roberts, and we're still on the top of Caesar's Head. This is the farthest point. In fact, we're out over the overhang we were showing you in the previous scene. And believe me, there's a precipitous drop behind me. We're looking down on the top of a lot of trees. And beautiful scene back through there, despite the fact there's so much fog you really can't tell what's going on. But you see the sun starting to come out way down on the trees down there. We're literally up in the clouds right here. If we were down 500 or 1,000 feet lower, we'd be seeing clouds above us. So this is again an easy place to get to, a place you should visit. From Asheville, it's about a 45-minute drive or so it's very easy to get here. At the back of the small viewing area on the top of Caesar's Head is the stairway down to the Devil's Kitchen. Devil's Kitchen is reached by a hiking trail that goes on down, but you gotta go through this huge crack in the rock, but it's a very narrow crack. You can see how narrow the pathway through the rock is here. It's a tight squeeze, believe me. And that's the steps going on down into it. In fact, I gave the camera to Pat. Big guy couldn't get through there too easily. And so Pat went through, and that was me standing at the top watching. This is after she exited the crack, showing the hiking trail that goes on down. And this is the crack in the rock beneath the steps. Caesar's Head, by the way, is a 7,500 acre park and part of the Mountain Bridge Wilderness. I needed and finally did devise a better way of mounting the camera in the car for my regular show, Rapid Ralph Runs the Roads, which is on every Saturday at 6 p.m. here on Channel 20 in Asheville, North Carolina, the land of the sky. This is the way I did it, using the tripod, which is securely against the sides of the car and the back of the back seat. And it allows me to use a really nice fluid-mounted camera head, which holds my big new camera without any problem. So this is a test of it. And I decided, what better way to test it than to strike off cross country? So instead of going out the driveway, I head down through my hayfield. And as you can see, the camera's doing a pretty good job. If you watch me, what little bit you can see of me, you'll see that I'm bouncing around quite a bit, but the camera is matched to the, thanks to the mount, is matched to more to the harmonics of the car, i.e. the bumps and stuff it's doing, and shows a much steadier picture. Now watch me as I go across the ditch here. Yeah, I'm moving I'm moving around, but the car mount's doing good. You can see one of the big rolls of hay up there in the hayfield. And I let a neighbor cut the hay just to keep the place looking good as we go past one of my commercial buildings here on the farm. I have a couple of companies I run out of here, and we're going out the driveway now. I have two driveways. We call this one I-2. It's our intra-estate highway. And down to the right, there's the other driveway, which is I-1. So we have I-1 and I-2. And we're coming to the junction now of I-1 and I-2. One of my old buildings there. I've described it in other shows. And now we're getting out on the main road. This is Macedonia Road out in Alexander. Those of you who have any sort of education recognize the connotation of Alexander, Macedonia. Macedonia, of course, being the country that Alexander the Great came from. And Alexander the Great conquered the known world back in the 300s BC and had quite a good time until he died at an early age. I think he was 33 when he was, some people say poisoned, no one's really sure. But he's one of the great conquerors of history. I actually think, and of course Alexander was not named after him, but rather after a family named Alexander, Mr. Alexander. As we go into the housing development up above my house, I'm just testing the camera, so I was just doing this short drive to do that. But anyway, Mr. Alexander, back in the early 1800s, built an inn down in a tavern down in the town of Alexander, or where Alexander came to be, so that's how it got its name. But anyway, enough of that historical stuff. As we come to the dead end here, the turnaround, and we're going, of course, turn around. They're building a lot of big expensive houses back up in here, but it's looking good. It's a good looking housing development. Houses are not close together like they are. In fact, I know for a fact that it's a coveted community, so the lots are large and they can't get some of the crowding that some of the developers do. These guys are doing a good job. I highly commend them, and I'm very glad of it, since they're my neighbors now, this development. Some developments are good. They increase your property values and so forth. So I'm not upset with that one being there. They're planting some maple trees out along through there. That's Macedonia Baptist Church I grew up in. In fact, my dad gave the land for that church back in 1948 or something like that. when the old church that was across the road burned down and they needed a place to build a new church. And here we come back home. So I was very pleased in general with this camera test. In fact, I was just plain pleased with it. This is a much better setup than I had before. And I've already filmed 2 complete 1-hour shows with it that were on Rapid Raft, the trip to Old Fort and the trip to Hot Springs, Rapid Raft numbers 19 and 20. For those of you who watch, and quite a few people do watch, which I really do appreciate. So this has been a camera test. Now let's cool down a little bit by going down to looking at Wildcat Falls in South Carolina on Highway 11. And here we go. On the same Sunday afternoon outing as the visit to Caesar's Head, which you saw earlier in this show, we also visited Wildcat Branch Falls, which is on Highway 11, the Cherokee Foothills Highway, in the mountains of Upper South Carolina. Very beautiful falls, extremely easy to get to. You park at the side of Highway 11 in a small parking lot, and you walk about 2 feet and you're right there at the falls. It's not a long hike at all. Actually, this is Lower Wildcat Falls, about a quarter mile on up Wildcat Branch. Here is Upper Wildcat Falls, and you'll see those later in this segment. It was pretty hot. I didn't try going up there, but Pat was nice enough to take the camera up and did some very beautiful photography of it. But right here we're looking at Lower Wildcat Falls, and it consists of 2 sections. There's a 10-foot free fall upstream that's at the top of the falls, and what we're looking right now with the flowers in the foreground is the 20-foot cascade, which goes down a slab of exposed granite into the shallow pool there, and people love to wade in that pool. I've been by here a number of times, lots of times, because whenever I go to Atlanta, I take Highway 11 down through Seneca and so forth, and it's you miss all that traffic in Greenville, and it's a much more pleasant way to get through South Carolina. So I've seen these falls a lot. And by the way, there's always a boiled peanut truck. There's Fremont Brown, their fellow producer, and he's has the same type of camera as I do now, and shooting. There's some of the folks that wade in the pool, or getting ready to wade in the pool. Little guy, he's not too sure that he wants to go in that pool, so he has to be persuaded to touch the water and all. But he likes the falls, I can tell. But anyway, boiled peanuts are a much more popular refreshment in South Carolina and Georgia, seemingly, than they are in North Carolina. We have very few places where you can buy boiled peanuts here, but down along Highway 11, there's lots of vendors set up to sell you a bag of boiled peanuts. And the guy here, as we look at the fall, that's a beautiful fall. The guy here is boils his own peanuts and everything. I talked to him. I'm interested in the technology of stuff like that. So it was interesting. By the way, we came here the week before, August the 12th, to film this falls, and it wasn't very impressive. And the reason was it's been so dry in western North Carolina and by extension Upper South Carolina. However, we were actually going to Caesar's Head and not even planning on shooting the waterfall, except we noticed the roads were wet and we figured they'd had a pretty good rain, so we stopped at the falls, and sure enough, it had a good flow of water and looked really nice. As you can see, look how smooth those rocks are. Now that comes from hundreds of years of the water coming down over the rocks like this. So I like waterfalls. They're peaceful. They're one of the four elements: water, fire, air, earth. And people just seem to be fascinated by the elementals. So you sit staring into a camp fire. Weather is fascinating. Oh, here comes an ambulance. I swung around just to get the action. And back to the waterfall. You can see the little lady there wading in the falls. It's very, in the pool here, this pool is very safe and it's very shallow. So a lot of people get into it and just have a good time. This is Ralph Roberts here with Fremont Brown on Highway 11 in South Carolina, in the mountains of northern South Carolina. Say hello to the good folks, Fremont.
Hello folks, how you doing today? I hope you're enjoying the waterfall scenery. Hopefully we'll get a lot more done today. Back to Ralph.
This is Fremont's camera. I happen to have one just like it, which is tied up right now filming us. But he has a what we call a shotgun microphone here to pick up the sound of the fall. I have one also which is currently picking up the sound of the waterfall. And he's shooting the fall. He's got headphones. Got tape in the camera, I hope. Have you got tape in there? Yeah, it wouldn't be running otherwise. You're doing okay. And got a nice wide angle lens so he can see the whole, see all the fall behind us. And it's a pretty good setup. Nice tripod, steady. Did you level it? No, you didn't level it. You need to level a little bit more. Okay, that's Ralph Roberts reporting from South Carolina. I was giving Fremont a little bit of a hard time, but he does good. He's got some good equipment, and we go out and do a lot of projects together. For example, our big series right now is Waterfalls of the Southern Highlands. That's another reason we're filming this waterfall. So you'll see some of his footage in the show in which we feature the waterfalls of Upper South Carolina. And as you can see, there are some beautiful ones here. And this is a really, really easy one for you to get to. You can just go in the parking lot and look at it out your window. You don't have to even get out of your car. Now it takes a little bit more effort to get up to Upper Wildcat Falls, but Pat made that effort. You go up those, you just got a brief glimpse of the steps going up by the side of that fall. And there's a wooden bridge over the upper fall up there, and you can look down on it from the top side, and then go on up to the upper falls, which we're going to do in less than a minute now. That will be taking the camera and hiking up there. So it's and Fremont and I went over and patronized the boiled peanut stand while waiting on her. we had a good time, but so did she. Okay, trail ends here. This is from Pat's video that she shot at Upper Wildcat Falls on the Wildcat Branch in beautiful upstate South Carolina. A lot of people don't realize that South Carolina has mountains, but they have quite a few of them, and some pretty high. And you've been atop one of them with us earlier in the show, at Caesar's Head. Upper Wildcat Falls are what's called a, little fast zoom there. I should have edited that out, but I didn't. Upper Wildcat Falls are called a slide. They're different terminologies for describing waterfalls. Oops, sorry again. But as you can see, the water comes down over the rocks, and it's called a slide because a lot of people like to slide on this type of waterfall. The rocks are slick and you can zip down through them. This may not be a good one to do that on, but like Slick Rock or Sliding Rock Falls rather, on Highway 276 above Brevard's a good one. Many people go there to slide on the down and splash into the pool at the bottom of the slide. Nature's water slide is now. Pat has some interesting stuff here, and this is one of the scenes that's really amazing. Look at that. The water is splashing in two different directions. See how it's coming down from both the right and left, and the spray is crisscrossing. Pretty neat. Oh yeah, you can really see it there. That is cool in more ways than one. It was a really hot day in South Carolina up in the 90s. So this is the places like this is where you want to be during the heat wave. Nature's air conditioner. But that is fascinating. I could watch that for a long time. See the way the water is going in both directions. And this is the same waterfall. And this water slide, Upper Wildcat Falls, is about 130 feet long. So it's pretty good sized falls compared to the lower fall, although lower falls are much easier to get to and photograph. There's look at the water cascading down over the slide there. That's beautiful. There's a lot more to see on Highway 11 in addition to just these falls and the boiled peanut stands, of course. The Highway 11 is again called the Cherokee Foothills Parkway, and it's called that because it follows an old Cherokee trail that was used for hundreds of years. It's about 100 miles long and passes through some really fantastic scenery in South Carolina. Down below Wildcat Falls is Table Rock State Park, which is another place we're definitely going to have to take you to, and lots of other attractions. So it's very close to Asheville. So one Sunday, why don't you go down Highway 11? Now this is a nice angle on the water slide that Pat photographed. And the water comes down, and you can see at times there's a lot more water coming down through here than even at the moment, because the rock's real smooth all the way down through there, and that again has been worn over many hundreds of years by the passage of water over rock. And even though it's close to the road, most people just go to the lower falls, so you can usually find yourself in splendid isolation if you make the quarter-mile hike up here to Upper Wildcat Falls. Close up of the water flowing over the slide. Splashing, making little fountains as it comes down through there. Looking good. Of course, there are real high mountains up above here, and in protected areas such as Caesar's Head State Park, which is quite close, the Mountain Bridge Wilderness, and Jones Gap State Park, all of which make a wide swath across the upper South Carolina mountains, and they're protected wilderness areas. I think, and I need to check this, but I think this is state-owned also, the falls here. I'm not totally sure, but I'm reasonably sure. But it's a nice, well, it is state maintained, the parking area and the maintenance on the trail up to the falls, I believe. Although it's still a rugged trail. Now look at that water racing over the rock. Down, down on its way to the Atlantic Ocean. We're on the eastern slope of the Eastern Continental Divide here. That rock is trying to impede the water, and will for maybe a few thousand more years before it's finally worn through and tumbles away as the water continues its course. Oh, now areas like this are sometimes more fascinating than the big falls that drop straight off a cliff and just thunder straight down. And because there are many, many little islands of interest where you get these different eddies like this one, and of course where the water was crisscrossing, and the little fountains as it comes down over the slide. So, and it's easy to get up close to this one also, where you can study these things. Look, here's another spot where it comes down from two different directions and combines again. So I do highly recommend that you visit Wildcat Falls on Wildcat Branch off of Highway 11. You come down 25 down the mountain from Hendersonville, from the Flat Rock area, and it's right at almost at the foot of the steep stretch of Highway 25. You turn right onto Highway 11, and it's 8 or 9 miles or so. It's not very far. Very quick drive from Asheville. So I hope you've enjoyed Wildcat Falls, Upper and Lower in South Carolina. We've featured Josie the Video Dog, who's always in action several times before on this show. But this is the first time in slow motion. Oh, there she goes, slowly moving. Josie is a very active dog, and this is the only time you can really get a good picture of her, except even in slow motion she gets out of camera range. But she'll be coming back, and she's making the rounds. This is these slow motion sequences are from our fellow producer Fremont Brown's new camera, but mine does the same thing. Here she comes. Josie is at least part setter. I'm not sure how big a part, but she loves to keep things in her mouth and get you to take them out and throw them for her. She's got a tennis ball right now, and here she comes, still in slow motion, coming straight towards camera. Get her close-up time. If you can get the ball out of her mouth and throw it, she'll go get it for you, but she won't give it back. What a dog. And now she's going back the other way, still in slow motion. Josie's actually not in slow motion. Again, she's never in slow motion. But there she is. There she is. Josie, the world-famous video dog. Go to ralphwroberts.com to see this show again.